Check out this beautiful habitat. There are a mixture of different known Morel associated species for Utah canyon lands, such as the Oregon grape and a thick mixture of conifer trees. Enough so that there is a lot of shade almost everywhere, and that's what I want. The floor is composed of decomposing wood, quite a thick layer of it, just about everywhere. When you dig down into this soil, it's pretty far that you can go with the stick. I would say that if you just grab one of these sticks and stab it in the ground, you're going to go in about 4 to 18 inches depending on where you are. So the soil is pretty loose and high in carbon. Also, it's composed of pines. Here in Utah, Morels, specifically these big fat black ones, are known to grow in association with very thick conifer forests. I really like the canyons because it concentrates the moisture. It elongates the relative humidity and the soil moisture inside of the canyon. I just arrived here about 10 minutes ago. In that time I collected this many Morels. I really like this egg carton technique. I've been testing it out. I'm a big fan of it because the critters, all of the isopods, potato bugs, ants, and other things, they have an opportunity to fall out. And that's what I want. Debug along the way. I try to cut them close to the, close enough and far enough that I actually have a stem, but I want that airflow generally because this is gonna make it so that my Morel will last longer. And I've been successful at preserving them in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 weeks with a combination of different techniques where essentially, egg carton, and then I'll layer it with paper towels, which I swap out to continuously remove the moisture and check for mold. Anyway, this is great because it fits into my bag really nicely. It sort of cradles all of the Morels. I usually wouldn't harvest any of this small, but I'm noticing right next to them there are a ton of stumps, so I have competition. Someone's out here harvesting big and small, so I'm just going to take them as long as they're dark enough that it looks like they've released some spores. So these are more than likely Morchella snyderi. In this particular canyon, I actually get a mix of snyderi, Brunier americana, Rufa Brunier, Tridentina, and Tomentosa. It's really, really amazing canyon. I love it. It's probably my very favorite site in all of Utah. Woo. The insects love the smell. These mushrooms, they don't have a particularly strong odor right now. These bigger, darker ones. Okay, they smell a little bit more decomposed or meaty. This is a giant, 5-inch mushroom. Normally I would advise that you just cut the base and bury the stump, but this year I'm conducting a cell culture experiment. So I'm actually using the stump, the mycelium, the sclerotia. So this guy, I'm actually pulling him out. I don't know how much of that you saw, but I'm gonna cut this off and put it into a separate bag. Which I then freeze, and later we'll use it for the inoculation of a series of different cell culture experiments that we'll conduct in laboratory and in the field using a variety of different types of inoculums at different concentrations. Look how big that guy is though, huh? Nice. My buddy calls these juicy sniders. Super funny. Trying to catch up on all the young kid lingo. I guess I'm old now and don't know all of the terminology. Anyways, this is just off the side of the road. I try to measure how far away from different things that these morels grow. From this road, and as it goes up the slope, it went up and away from the road about 20 feet, and at a slope of about 30 degrees. Total, I found about 20 morels, and I just got here. Have not actually entered the canyon fully. Take you to see these other few. Ooh, here's one I hadn't discovered yet. Nice. Look at this juicy Snyder. Growing in direct proximity to an Oregon grape plant. Let's get a better shot of this. There we go. All right, I'm gonna pluck this guy. Normally, like I said, I would just cut him at the base and then bury it to try to create a condition where potentially, more morels are gonna grow. So what I'll do is just bury that spot where I took the mushroom, the ascocarp. Look at that. Juicy Snyder. These could actually not be Snyderi. There's quite a lot of morphological, physiological, anatomical overlap between the different varieties of what we call black morels, right? True morels. And different clades like the Elata clade. They will have quite a lot of similarity and overlap in their morphology. And so it can be very difficult to distinguish them without molecular genetic analysis. Here's my amazing bag. And so as you go farther up, it's rocky landslide, a little bit sparser. You see the light where the canopy is not touching, so that's the edge of the perimeter. I found them growing here where it's a bit darker and more shaded. And I'm going to be wandering up here where it is exactly the same. I expect to find many, many more. This location produces, depends on how much of it I have time to look through, but there's been days where I've harvested over 1,000 in this canyon. It's amazing. I encourage you to explore all of your canyons and get to know them. They can be your friends. All right, well, thanks for joining me today. I'll try to do more content like this where I can teach you the habitats of Utah morel mushroom distributions and their ecological associations. Don't forget to click like and subscribe and share with all your friends and ask them to do the same so this channel can build and I can travel farther and document a wider variety of morel mushrooms. All right, thanks. Bye-bye. I hid some morel mushrooms here on the side of the trail. Very, very heavily hiked trail with lots of actual morel mushroom competition. And so that's why I hide some of these guys, because they just need a little bit of time to grow. Look at that beautiful thing. Beautiful. Now, that one popped out. Let's see if the ones I actually hit are still here. And if they've grown. Oh, yes, they did. All right, so these were about the size of my thumbnail when I was here last. Now they're a lot bigger. Here's his friend. Beautiful. Sorry, the lighting here is weird today. All right, here's a few more. Oh, look at that guy. Oh, that one failed. I guess it was too moist. I used one of these and I think that was a bit too much for it. Okay. Well, we learn as we do this. Here's another guy. That was just a teeny little nub when I found it last. And most of the ones I hit at this site are still here. People walked right by all of this. Look at that, big glob of morel. There's 4 right here. Beautiful. I haven't done a total count yet. This is about 60 feet up from where my last site was that I just collected from. Oh, nice. That was much smaller when I left it. Cool. I'm gonna be quick because you never know when someone will blast up or down the trail. And I'm trying to not be super conspicuous, if I can help it. Let's see, is this one I hid? Nope. Or it's gone. Some of them do get discovered, not most. Stump! Taking stumps for my experiment this year. Alright, so here's a few I left. And I did find some stumps. I have competition here. Okay. So that's good to notate. The areas where I have competition, I do actually harvest morels that are a little smaller than I prefer. Really try to hide them and kind of just test and see what works in that area. Some people are smart and they turn stuff over and they find my morels. This beautiful thing. Beautiful. It's darkened and released its spores, so harvesting it isn't completely unethical. Though obviously, ideally, we would like them to be larger, right? But they do grow in flushes. It's good to check the same area multiple times, see how they're doing, hide what you can, and the other area I was in was just over there. So, not too far away. Here's another site where I hid morels for a couple of weeks. Check out the result. This is a heavily trafficked area. And I found lots of stumps here. So there are other people, other competition, but look how well it works. And that's a literal handful. Even just something like putting a mullein leaf on can take a fingernail size morel to a 2 or 3 inch size morel. But in some cases, when you just give them enough time, look at this honker. Oh, just huge. It's about 3 inches wide and 4 inches tall. I checked around. Not all of the ones that I hide are here. And I don't know if it's humans or animals, but some of them are gone. I have varying degrees of success based on the location. This was tiny when I left it. And I really like this technique. I encourage you to do it. Gives the mushrooms a chance to spread their spores. And then you can collect big mushrooms instead of teeny little baby mushrooms. This is another fun site, about 40 feet off of a paved trail. I did find 2 stumps, but because I left these when they were so small, I had this one under a mullein leaf. They're huge now. Awesome. You know, definitely worth harvesting. Here's my stumps. And there are more to spread around. Under this piece of bark, got 2 harvestable black morels. And I just harvested a few over here. This site's about 20 feet from the last site, and that one was 20 feet from the other site. The one before it. I'll post these videos in sequence. But quite a lot of the ones that I hid, there's 2 more. This one on the left didn't do so well. It's hard to even tell it's a morel. But that is definitely worth harvesting. And he's got buddies. And I'm sure there's more. This is another site where I hid some morels. This thing's huge. Big fatty. He's got a friend. Not bad sized at all. Somebody did come through this site. I found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stumps. Look how fat those are, guys. I'm gonna totally harvest and cut that off and fry it up. There's no other fungi growing here besides morels, so I don't really need to worry about something else. But these ones were also undiscovered. Check it out. So they love growing underneath these roots. And if I just take some sticks and leaves and pine needles and cover them up, I can hide some mushrooms and let them grow. These have been here for about 2 weeks hiding. and they're really not bad sized. Okay, what we have here are some danger morels. Get as close as I can without jumping down just yet. See him right here? There's a big fat guy right there. And then two more over there. Beautiful. And that one. Big fat morel. It's about 4 inches long. I'll collect them when I'm not holding my phone, when I'm less likely to destroy them also. Just right by the river, on one of the recently eroded parts of the canyon. Lots of loose debris. Another great spot where I've hidden morels, and this one I probably let it go for too long. It was about 2 weeks. There was some snow and rain, and there's a couple gone. I don't know if it's another person or animals, but I did find one stump, and it's nice. You can just take a big rock, put some sticks next to it, end up with some pretty big honkers after a couple of weeks. So only a couple of them were mulchy, and the rest are pretty good. Here's my stump. But it's funny, whoever cut this missed all the rest of them. This whole area has them distributed throughout it, which is really nice. They just grow in these massive clusters every couple of feet. Here's another one. There's more hidden throughout this whole hill, but for the sake of time on the video, I'll probably skip a few. Little small one right there, popping up. They're still flushing. Looks like whoever was here stepped on a few on their way. But I always try to look for these slightly slanted areas right next to the rivers, because I get quite a lot of these little flushes. Seems that the ground just becomes saturated. About 2 weeks ago when I was here last, I found some pretty massive ones right here. Looks like someone did actually come through and uncover some of the ones I was hiding, but they pop up so quickly that there's always more. So I come to this spot once or twice a week, every week. Oh wow, more. There's the river, about 20 feet from the collection site. Where's this morel? I saw it from above. Here we go. Beautiful. There's more now that I'm in here. I can see them. Beautiful. I would encourage all mushroom hunters to bring up empty bags that you can hike garbage out with, so that as you are enjoying nature, you can contribute to making it more beautiful. Because the teenagers that come up and drink in these spots don't. And maybe when they're older, they'll have a change of heart and decide to take care of nature. We can set a good example for them. This is something that happened to me. My friend Becky Bates. I saw her in the woods a few times this year and the last couple of years, and she encouraged me to start bringing up bags and hiking out all the beer bottles, which I do. Okay, I think that's about all for this spot. And this is just on the other side of the trail of my other spot. So my total area today is really just like 1,200 feet by 400 feet. I've just zigzagged through it. I'll have to check my totals, but I'm somewhere in the realm of 150 morels. They're all pretty decently sized too. So when you find one, just take your time, look around. You're pretty much guaranteed to find more. Morels very rarely grow solitarily. I hit a few in this area. A few are gone. And a couple of giant ones are still here. Sometimes I hide them so well that I can't find them myself. There are a bunch in here, but it looks like a lot of the curved bark that I had used has been turned over. Perhaps somebody has figured out that I'm hiding them, or maybe one of the people I'm training is pillaging. So I actually test out each of the citizen scientists that I work with and expose them slowly to specific sites and eventually to the secret research sites. And I do this because I like to try to prevent as much corruption to the data as possible for our research experiments. The areas that are trafficked by people could have lower statistical significance and increase in contamination from people who come here and collect mushrooms. So that's fine. We should do that. So I stopped here because I saw this guy on the right, and then I noticed that guy had already been knocked over. But this is just 20 feet from that trail right there, and that's another 40 feet from the river. Behind me is a beautiful slope, mostly rocks, but as you can see, it's a lot of shade. Morels grow in the shade. And they like plants on the ground. Sometimes I find my biggest morels when the foliage is so full that you can't actually see them. So I zigzag back and forth and I try to find them. It's been a pretty awesome day. I've been up here for about 5 hours, and my huge backpack that is full of quite a lot of bags and boxes and overflow boxes is completely full inside of this giant thing. There's a whole bunch of boxes, and then I have this overflow bag that's also starting to get really full, and I have little bags in there, but I just keep finding more. I can't even get to where I was trying to go today. Okay, I flipped the camera around. But yeah, I've not been able to even arrive at my actual destination because there have just been so very many morels to harvest. Look at this fat guy I hid about 2 weeks ago. Here is one of my piles. Can't believe no one found it. Look how big these are. Oh yeah, that's great. Big fat honkers. Nice. Beautiful. It's funny. I love hiding these piles and seeing which ones people find and which ones they don't find. I was actually about to leave and I started seeing these bulges in the ground. The morels here, they actually grow up underneath this beautiful layer of pine needles. Some of it's burnt from a fire a few years ago. There's been a lot of activity in this area as well. Here's another one that I hid. Check out that. Beautiful. Oh. Any of the weird ones, you can just dehydrate them. I've been freezing a lot this year. There's another one I hid. Beautiful. Fat morel. It's so thick. These Snyderi and Eutriceps, a few of the different varieties that grow up here are just honkers, and I love it. I love waiting till they're big, not harvesting little baby mushrooms. So definitely hid more. Looking around for where they might be. There are other people who have been up here recently. I can tell based on the amount of stumps that I've discovered today, somewhere around 20. But I would argue this technique is worth it, even if some of them are discovered, because about 80% of the ones that I hid were still there, and much larger than they were when I had left them. So that's exciting. Ooh, this looks like one of my piles. Okay. So it seems like they found the curved bark ones, but these piles, they didn't they didn't find them all. Very exciting and fun. Big fat morels. I'm sure that there's more. I upload every single one of these to iNaturalist individually, unless they grow as a cluster. And that way they can be used for not just my research experiments, but for the research experiments of other scientists and for the learning of citizen scientists. Look at this one. I didn't even know it was here. Nice. Another perfectly hidden big fat Morchella Snyderi right off of the trail and just around the riverbed. I hid morels here 2 weeks ago. Look at this guy. Beautiful. It's got two friends over here. One more hiding under here. Look at this fat guy. Beautiful. Okay, this hiding spot turned out really well. Every single mushroom I left is still here, and much larger than it was when I left it. I did notice, as a part of my experimentation with hiding things, that if I use mullein leaf directly on a mushroom, it can cause it to mold. So the really fun thing about this spot is that there were just so many. A lot of these we'll be using to make slurries and cultures for our various experiments. Oh, stump! You see it? You see that stump? Look out for the stumps. Now I know. Someone was here. I'm not a stump lever. I even take the stumps and the sclerotia and I use them in cell culture experiments. Yeah, here's another one that went moldy. Also, it's been 2 weeks since I've been able to revisit this site. Look at these fat fatties growing on the side of these logs. There's another one. So I came through and I uncovered all of these for this video because I'm totally running out of light, which sucks. I've Morel hunted at night. Better to not do that by yourself, where there are cougars and bears for sure. Taking you along the route where the others are. Some of them I'm not going to pick just yet because I'm going to photograph them because they're so beautiful. This one. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Recorded so much video today that my phone's dying. So always bring backup batteries, which I did. I did do that. Look at that fat fatty. Oh yeah. Beautiful. Alright, I'm going to drop these guys together, take you over to the next batch. Like, they're huge. Juicy Sniders. Ooh, that looks like the pile I made. Oh. Okay, so sometimes I hide them so well I can't find them once. Ooh, yeah. Watch out for that, it stings. I'm not gonna go that way. I learned that the stingy way. Maybe a few more uncovered for the sake of the video. This one's so pretty. I'm definitely gonna photograph it. I'm not gonna pluck that, so pluck this guy. This one got stomped, not by me. Man, this site worked really well. People just walk right by. Yeah, I think someone figured out the turned over stump trick, so I like the other designs I've been doing. They seem to work a little bit better. This one. These ones are just such an easy part to kind of just, I don't really have to hide them super well. This guy was just behind a rock. There were a couple of little guys that didn't grow. See? But then everything else is just a beast. Look at that beast. Beautiful. You try holding a phone by yourself while collecting mushrooms. See how easy it is. Alright, this guy I'm absolutely gonna photograph. Worth the little time I have left, even if I don't harvest others. this guy. Here's another one. And that guy. Oh, it's huge. It's probably the biggest one. Okay. Some of these spots are real hard to photograph because you have a horde of mosquitoes attacking you, and so you want to keep moving. This one is just pretty. See? Pretty. Ascomycetes can be pretty. Ooh. What's this guy? Look at that guy. Okay. To load him to iNaturalist. I'm not sure I caught that guy. Okay. Sometimes when you walk back, you find something you missed. Wood, and sometimes you don't get found, other times they do. Oh, it's so huge. There's a few more I didn't grab. Better get them. I'm gonna miss them just because there's so many. My bag is insanely full today, and I'm so glad I bring foldable paper bags and a giant plastic bag for garbage, because it's acted as a really useful overflow today. This is my probably heaviest harvest day, single day of the entire year. I'm allowed to collect this much because it's associated to our research experiments, and I have a permit with the governor's name on it. Anyways, I also contribute to the reproduction with how we harvest them and wait till they're big enough to produce spores. Pretty sure I have a couple of others. Oh yeah, plucked these guys early. Don't touch those. Alright. Here's the other one. I believe that's the end of our loop. That was a long loop. Well, that was an extremely successful day. Perhaps the most I've ever harvested by myself in one outing, in one location. My backpack is completely full. Forgive my headlight. It's super dark. My backpack's full. My extra bag full of bags is full. And I cannot wait to get back to my truck. I would have kept going if there was still more light in the sky, but it looks lighter than it is. It's pretty dark right now. Super stoked to come back probably tomorrow.